C'est toujours un plaisir d'être là avec vous. Vous écoutez la fréquence 109. Merci à vous.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the iSee109 podcast. And I'm your host, Larry Wiggs. Today's in-studio guest is Mr. Arias Williams, who is known as Ariastotle.
Yes, sir.
What's up? Arias and I go way back to Hamilton High School. We were just chopping it up before we began the podcast. And, we're talking about back in the days of high school and all. So both of us are LA natives, so let's bring some of the energy from some of the legends in the building. So Kobe, let the people know where they are.
You're at 109 right now.
That's what's up. All right. So Arias, what's good, man?
Man, life is good, bro. Just enjoying this weekend. Glad to be here with you.
Oh yeah, it is the weekend. Is today Friday or Saturday?
Today's Saturday.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Time is just flying by, and the way that I keep up with time is like I'll post a video on YouTube, and then I'll look, and it's like 7 days later. It's like 12 days later. I'm like, damn, that much time passed. I just posted that yesterday. Like, no, bro, that was 2 weeks ago. Like, woo. Man,
Hey, time flies when you're having fun, man.
Cool. Yeah, it's been a fun experience posting these videos and everything, and I'm glad I was able to tap you, and people in the community, folks I've known for years, folks who are doing things, and I'm like, yo, let me try to build this this podcast and everything. So I appreciate you showing up. Appreciate you coming to talk to the people, whoever the heck is out there watching this.
Somebody's watching, man. If not now, later.
That's right. That's the beauty of all of this.
Right.
Man, so let's see. Director, scholar, teacher, educator.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. And rapper.
Yep, and producer. I make beats as well.
You play the guitar as well.
I do.
Musician. Add that to it. So Arias does it all. All right. Let's talk about travel, man, because I travel. I'll be traveling, bro, doing my thing. I remember we were communicating at the time when you were in Nigeria.
I was, yeah.
And you were pretty, productive. That time in Nigeria was pretty productive for you. You have a production company.
Right.
And you were working on some projects. And you did I think a video about Orishas.
Yeah, we did a short film. It was called Ashe. It is called Ashe.
All right.
And we also did a web series called Discovering ABJ, which is really dope. Still out there. It's on one of those streaming services, Quayle TV. It's on Quayle TV. So if you have Quayle TV, you can check it out there. We made a couple of music videos and just soaked in the culture, man.
Wow, because it's interesting that you went to Nigeria. Nigeria is a country I have yet to visit.
Right.
I went to Ghana recently, and I was in D.C. and the taxi driver who was dropping me off at the airport in D.C. Asked me where I was headed. I said Ghana. He was like, you haven't been to Africa until you've been to Nigeria. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, man. And because it's the most populous countries, or Lagos is the most populous city.
It's the most populous country in Africa, and one of the most populous countries in the world, but definitely most populous country in Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not just the numbers; it's the cultural influence as well. I don't think I would agree with the statement that you haven't been to Africa unless you've been to Nigeria, but Nigeria is powerhouse. It's like coming to North America and not coming to the United States, in my opinion. So
I got you. Yeah. And so how long did you stay out there?
At that time, so I stayed there like maybe 3 years in total. On and off, I would come back to the U.S. Me and my family would come back every so often, like maybe for couple of months or something like that, and then go back. So about 3 years on and off.
Cool. And your wife is
Yeah,
Nigerian?
she's Nigerian American. She's born here, and her family lives there.
Okay.
Yeah, she grew up there as well.
Yeah, man. So the now the videos I watched of you that you produced, during your time in Nigeria or around that time, like the content. I mean, I've only recently, come into this knowledge of these things. And for you to have known about these and have produced, work, for the masses to see, you know, a decade before me, I'm like, dang. But I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I've arrived because now I'm on this I'm at this point where if you mention there are certain trigger words. If you mention them, I'm like, I know what he's talking about.
Right.
And I know that he knows, how deep this goes,
Right.
and how powerful, this kind of stuff is. Whereas there was a time when I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, shoot, for me, it's like I've always had a love for knowledge in general. I mean, history has always been a passion and love for me since I was a kid. And so as I grew up, I wanted to know more about Africa and like where, our people are rooted in. Obviously we're Americans, but, we have an African background as well. And so that was kind of like a hole for me, like not knowing
yes.
much about that. And so I really took it upon myself to really find out more. And I lived in Ghana in college for a while, and that was like that opened the door for me to Africa and what it's like to live in Africa. And then I just kind of went down the rabbit hole of learning as much about the cultures as possible. When I discovered the Orishas, I was like, wow, this is deep, because I didn't know, like you, I didn't know at the time there was like this complex system of deities, kind of like the Romans or the Greeks or whatever like that. I didn't know that we had something like that.
And that and what we had predates the
that.
Romans and stuff, and
Right.
and now the Catholics and all these other things.
Right. It's super old, super ancient,
Yeah.
And so once I learned about it, I just, like I said, I went down the rabbit hole, and I just wanted to understand what it was like to live in those ancient times in Africa. What were we doing? What are our stories? What is our actual history like? Who are the legends? Like who were the ancient people back then to them? Like all those things, fascinated me. So that kind of bore out the story of Ashe that my wife and I wrote.
And you had to search for that information, that truth. That wasn't just, I'm going to go to Barnes and Nobles and pick up a book on Orishas tomorrow, and then I'm going to study it this weekend, and I'll be done.
Right. I mean, it's a collection, internet searches, but there are some books out there that we definitely looked into, but also talking to family and building on knowledge of knowledge of the family and really old people. Everybody has a kind of different perspective about, history and stuff like that, but it all kind of built on each other, and then we kind of developed our own view and perspective of it. So this was like around the Game of Thrones time, so when Game of Thrones was out, so we really wanted to do something like that.
What time, what years were those? I didn't even pay attention to Game of Thrones. It was out there, but it was
so I was a big fan, actually. So this was like, we went to Nigeria in 2013.
Okay.
No, before that, 2013 is when we went back, and we left, and we came back to U.S. in 2016. So 2013 is when we went. So 2010 to 2013 was like Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Big time, yeah. I think, yeah.
Now, you studied Africana studies, African history?
I studied history as for my bachelor's, and then I went to UCLA, and I studied African studies, which is basically a combination of different disciplines focused on Africa. So political science, history, etc.
So your undergrad is at Berkeley?
Yeah.
And then UCLA for your master's?
Yeah. I did graduate study at UCLA. I didn't quite finish the program, but I pretty much finished.
You
I just
didn't quite
never
finish.
got the degree.
Nah, so
Never got the degree. But
okay, but you were in graduate studies at UCLA.
yeah.
All right, was that the Bunch Center
Yep.
and all?
Yep.
A cousin of mine was studying, and that, I mean, that's the center of blackness, I think, on UCLA's campus.
Right.
So I visited there one time, and yeah, man.
UCLA is great, man. It's a great school.
I was there 2012 with my mom, and Professor Roby was his name, or Dr. Roby. He was, around when my mom was in school, and he had passed, and the black students, the older generations, they came to for his memorial, and when I was on that campus, I didn't see many of us.
Oh yeah.
I was like, good grief! There were a lot of Asians, including the Chinese and the Indians, and I was just like, and there were plenty of whites, but I mean, they were mostly Asians,
Right.
and then a few of us, sprinkled here and there. But I was just like, wow, okay.
Right.
Let me tell you. So recently, I was looking at the timeline of history. This guy, this professor, I won't mention him by name. And I received an email from him today because I emailed him a couple of days ago asking him, like, why his timeline of history did not include more content from Africa, or specific to African empires. That,
Right.
I mean, he literally goes from millions of years ago to present day,
Right.
and he completely leaves out. For in my case, what I learned about recently, Ethiopia and the Aksumite Empire, and how that was a biblical empire, including the Queen of Sheba. I'm like, bro, how are you gonna leave her out?
Right.
That's just one example of the omissions in this timeline of history.
Right.
So I called him one, and I'm like, bro, what's going on? And he was like, well, for my the timeline addresses what I'm interested in and what I think my students are interested in. I'm like, excuse me? Like, who are you and who are your students? Because you should know this,
Yeah.
So this was a very, I mean, it was a pretty doggone racist, thing. I'm like, wow, you're completely going with, I guess what the Romans and,
Right.
had going on, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really ignore like the African
No.
influence because it's huge. I mean, like we're talking about human history. I mean, and civilization, Ethiopia, Egypt, Nubia,
Yes.
Mesopotamia, all those places
Yes.
are like central to the development of human thought. Like, so you really can't skip it. Like, it can't be skipped anymore. It can't be acceptable to skip those things because it's not even. I don't know. It's not useful.
These days, I forgot the guy's. It's not Hitchens. I think it's a Hawkins. But the guy, his brand or his T-shirts, and I have one of his T-shirts. It says, "We are all Africans." This was his thing, and like that, I'm of that opinion. Out of Africa is the base theory, and every human being walking the planet is an African.
Yeah.
Some Scandinavians still have Neanderthal blood, and I think it's Joe Rogan who said he has a high percentage of Neanderthal, DNA.
Right.
But that's a mixture, and at his core, he is an African.
Right.
And I'm just like, that should be where all study, jumps off from.
Right.
At any given point today.
Right.
There's very little reason why it shouldn't be. Like Spencer Wells, Stanford University professor, he studied DNA and all of this stuff. He proved it for me 2012 that all humanity traces back to Africa.
Right.
I mean, of course, I'm late in learning this stuff, but when I heard this guy say this, he's a white professor. I was like, oh, and Stanford University right here in California. I'm like, oh, I'm done.
Right.
No more discussion. Africa is king. We all came from Africa. That's it. We're done. Okay, what are you talking about? What are we? No. If you don't, subscribe to this, it's not even a theory. If you don't know these facts and abide by them, then you're doing something, completely, unnatural.
Right.
Creating some wild, stuff.
Some false narrative. I mean, at this point, I feel like the science strongly supports the idea that all human beings currently are descendants from the first humans in Africa.
Yes.
Like you said, a lot of Europeans still, have some Neanderthal DNA as well, but all humans today, as far as we know, are what the Homo sapiens, right? And those are the people that came from Africa.
Right.
But I think what's most important to know, to talk about too, is not only the physical, but the thoughts, the ideas that came from Africa, and how these ideas transform the entire world and are the roots of our civilization today. Because some people might just be like, oh yeah, they were just hunter-gatherers out there, but the real civilization stuff didn't come until Rome and Greece and all that stuff. But that would be false as well. Because,
exactly.
It goes way back, like I said, to the Nubians and all the people even before them that we don't even know about.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have the book. I looked at it. See, I'm bringing this up to you because I know, and for what I can say, we can converse about that. But I was looking in the book, People's History of the World by Chris Harman, the other day, and Chris Harman has a chapter in it where he just basically said, that Europe was backwards when Africa was advanced, and Europe's development was only because they learned from Africans. Right. Okay. I mean, everyone wasn't African, but everyone did not, culturally, so there was a time when Europe was backwards. I mean, bathing wasn't a thing. Right. And, universities weren't a thing. And then the Moors colonized, Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal, right, and developed, all of that. So I know I know because I listened to the track you made in 2009.
Yeah, I just re-released that. I was like, this has to come back out, man. I think people need to hear it. So yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, he knows. Dude.
Man.
So let's take a little break and let's play it. And I hope I'm not gonna run into any issues having it on the podcast and what have you. So
shouldn't be. Yeah.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Black male, black list, black ball, black sheep, black magic, black people dying in the streets. How did black become a negative thing when it's so obvious that we the first human beings? How can the fathers of the universe and mothers of the earth be constantly degraded, never given what we worth? Gave birth to human nations, the first on the planet. The ancient Ethiopians built temples out of granite, carved into the ground, gave birth to Nefertiti. The hieroglyphics is an ancient form of graffiti, written on the wall so the world knows our history. And how we built the pyramids is still an ancient mystery. Been robbed of our history, they told us we was cursed. No knowledge of our past, so our future's all a blur. Had the solar system mapped out, perform brain surgery. So how we go from greatness to the state of emergence? Black day, black heart, black future, black spirit, black angels, black people filling up the prisons. How did black become a negative thing when it's so obvious that we the first human beings? It all began when Alexander, he conquered the Egyptians, the Kemites and the Nubians, and stole all the traditions. The soldiers raped the women, lightened our skin tone, gave birth to the Arabs, so now they claim it as their home. Inherited the throne of the first civilizations, but we never stopped, created greater nations all throughout the continent, Ghana and Songhai. The kingdom of Mali, black people still with heads high. Great Zimbabwe, they said there's no way that this could be built by the blacks of yesterday. It was the black Moors who conquered Spain for 7 centuries. I bet you don't know because it's written out of history. Black thought, black words, black market, black looks. Black Friday, black people written out the books. How did black become a negative thing when it's so obvious that we the first human beings? The whole world peeped our status, admire from afar. Was jealous of our riches, couldn't stand our shining stars. The white men invaded from the desert and the shore. The Arabs and the Europeans started holy war. It justified their cause to enslave our population. Stole us from our homeland as slaves to build their nations. Took us to the Middle East as well as the New World. Locked up the men and raped the little boys and girls. Told us we were savage, well below the average. They said we was inferior, we had brain damage. Over time, the lies became accepted truth. Perpetuated by the media and the youth. Black minds, black souls, black strength, black power. Black people ready, cause we in the final hour. Black can never be a negative thing, cause it's so obvious that we the first human beings. Yeah. What's up, y'all? This is my little niggas out there, man. For those of y'all that don't know, that we as black people come from the greatest human beings on the planet, you know what I'm saying? From the first human beings on the planet. There ain't no diss to nobody else out there, cause they all our children, you feel me? Just so that you know. So next time you look in the mirror, you look with pride, you feel me? Yeah. For real high. For real high. For real high, don't stop. Yeah. Legs. Track Jackie. We out.
All right, and we are back.
You're at 109 right now.
Yeah. All right, so this is Black, Ariastotle.
Yes, sir.
Man, Arias and I go all the way back to Hamilton High School. I think I remember you when you chose Ariastotle as your name.
Really?
Yeah. I think we were in Mrs. Johnson's class. Dale was there, and you were like, I got it. Ariastotle.
You making that up?
No, man.
I remember that.
I remember that. It was like, you were like, yeah, man. I remember that. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the roots of the name for me, my wife kind of named me that. We were arguing about something. We were always debating something, like having philosophical debates. And
Oh.
I was saying something. She was like, okay, Aristotle. And I was like, yes! I was like, yes, that's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Man. Well, okay. I'll give her the credit, but I could have sworn, man. I was like, I think,
Hey, you could be right, man. Like, I have a horrible memory.
Did you ever, maybe have the title, put it aside, revisit it and?
Not that I can remember, man.
Okay, all right. Your wife gets all the credit. I'm not even gonna argue about that one. I could be just making up stuff like, man, I was there. You see, I was there. Dale was there too.
Dale.
And I heard that name, Aristotle. All right, man.
Yeah. Sorry.
Cool. Let's see what we got going over here. So, I was looking for a full album.
Right.
So speak on that. Have you released a full album?
I have released a full album in the past, but these are all mostly new songs that I've been working on. So I'm just dropping maybe 1 or 2 a month for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. I feel like if I dropped an entire album, it probably. I think by dropping singles, it gets more attention. Like each song will get its attention, and then by the time the year is over, I'll have a whole catalog of music that I dropped. And so I feel like I've been making songs over the past couple of years, and I don't think it's an album. Like I haven't made an album. Like I want to make another album that's like a cohesive album that's like has a thesis and a point and an entire vibe. So these are all kind of different songs that I've made over the past couple of years. So I'm just kind of dropping each one individually.
Okay.
For now, yeah.
So I took us back, but the latest drop, I see that you have several for this year, 2022.
Right.
Got 4, but the one that really hit home was this Indeed.
NDED, niggas die every day.
Right. I'm like, oh man, Arius, why you bringing this up? Like, oh, bro. But the melody, the message is on point, and yeah, and it's a good vibe. Even, I mean, it's some hard,
Yeah,
stuff to tackle.
right. I mean, that's kind of my thing, man. I tackle the hard things, man. Like I
You don't shy away from them.
yeah. I mean, this is real for me, like I just feel like as we're getting older. Well, for me, it kind of started after the there was the BLM protest in 2020, which I was a part of. I was
I
out
got
there.
I got the interview. Arius and I come back to iSee109 and check out that interview. Arius was out in the streets protesting.
Yeah, man.
It takes balls to do that, okay?
Man.
I was sitting back like, man, look at those people out there.
Hey, it was serious, man. We was going at it. But and after that summer, like it was all these killings, like within our black community, and I was just like, damn, man, like, like on one hand we're like, out there protesting police brutality, but on the other hand, we got our own killing our own, and then I started having experiences where friends were passing away, getting killed, and then COVID happened and all this stuff. Like people that I knew passed away, people's families, young guys our age. I mean, we're not super young now, but I mean, like, we're not old,
Yeah.
Our age was dying, and I was just like, this life thing is limited, man, and like we gotta do what we can to make our mark felt, not only as individuals but as a community. Make sure we build up our community and make sure we know that certain behavior should no longer be acceptable. Like all the murdering and stuff that's happening.
Yes.
So that's where that came from.
All right. And man. Yeah, let's let's get past that. My goodness. I mean, but what comes to mind, is Ermias. You dig?
Yeah.
Because that brother, was taken out by another young brother. And I mean, our connection to Nipsey Hussle. We're gonna get into Nipsey because I don't mind talking about Nipsey. What was it? Yeah, it was just a tragic event. That case is in the news right now. That trial, that young brother is on trial right now. There are new developments, coming out daily, and Nipsey was a special individual.
Yes, it was.
And what was I gonna say? Something about Nipsey. I mean, we went to Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton High School in Los Angeles. So, Hassan was over here the other day. Hassan also attended Hamilton. You and I attended Hamilton. Bad Luck, right? Attended Hamilton.
Merce.
Oh, yes.
He was there. He was like a year or two ahead of us, right?
Yes, Merce was.
A lot of the living legends went to Hamilton, actually.
I remember seeing him rocking that military camouflage, rhyming to himself, going, walking the hallways like, yo, look at this cat.
Super weird, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, what I like about Merce is he took his birthday, and I think it's 3/16. I think that's the same biblical verse, John 3:16 or something. But his birthday is 3/16, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and like he put that out there, like, yo, an album title, and he was just playing with those numbers, and I thought that was cool because that's essentially what I'm all about these days. And it's a whole unfolding, peeling back the layers of an onion, like what's going on with these numbers, what do they mean and stuff like that. So there's definitely something there. But yeah, the connections, like Hamilton High School, the greats, and yeah, so whew.
Yeah, man.
let's see. Merce and his L.A. Man, forget talking about it. I'm gonna just pull it up and play it, man, dude. At least play a little bit of it. Let me see. I tell you, like when living in L.A., I wasn't really vibing. I didn't discover a lot of L.A. music until I left L.A.
Yeah, I mean, outside of like the mainstream cats at the time, like I remember like when I was a senior in high school, iSee109 was big. Remember iSee109?
Yeah, yeah.
That was one of those big ones. We went up to college. We took the iSee109 with us, man, and we put a lot of people in the Bay Area up on iSee109. Yeah, there was a lot of cats. There's probably other people that could speak on it better than me because, I can't pretend like I was like a super like duper like, LA hip hop head at the time. I loved hip hop, but I wasn't like super into the local.
Right.
So there's probably other people.
And Leimert Park was where it was, on and cracking with. They had a Project Blow.
It was. I wasn't there though.
Neither was I. Neither was I.
I can't even lie. Not until later. I was there later, like in my 20s, but in high school I wasn't there.
This is what I wanted to talk to you about. This is what I wanted to talk about. It's with regard to Nipsey. And you know what? I'm gonna just play it for a second here, since I brought it up. But this is Merce. We'll get like 10, 20 seconds of it. Merce in L.A. Right. This is Merce and Ninth Wonder L.A. from 2006.
I'm from L.A. California A hot. Days got shade. Let me take you round the way. A lot of out of towners can't handle this city where you wear the wrong color and it can get tricky. But that was 86 and things done changed. We a lot more evolved with the way that we bang. Not the rips and the dogs, man. The smog might kill you, but you ain't gotta worry if you're staying north of Wilshire. Don't be scared of Crenshaw.
Don't be scared of Crenshaw. That was the last thing I heard him say just now. Speaking of being scared of Crenshaw areas, and you mentioned, you weren't at Project Blowed, and I wasn't either.
Not in the 90s, I wasn't. No,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. We had this conversation several years ago. In 2018, I mustered the courage to go to Crenshaw and Slauson to pick up the Crenshaw sweatshirt at Nipsey's, spot.
Right.
Mustered the courage, okay? That's a key phrase there. And, after Nipsey's passing and all, I think we had a conversation and you told me that you were like, bro, I've never been to the Marathon clothing store.
Yeah, I never went, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying here is that's not uncommon. You see, we knew what element was around there, right? And we had to navigate L.A. I mean, being Angelinos, you don't go to certain spots, not willy-nilly, hey, I'm just going to, what's going on over here today? Let's go see what's, no. It is serious like that. It was serious like that. And that's a testament,
right?
Because you stayed away, I stayed away, and yeah.
I mean, like at the time, it was just no reason for me to go. I mean, I knew it was there, but like, not like I don't be in the area because I do, right. But
exactly.
It was just no reason for me to stop over at the Marathon store. I mean, I regret it now. I was like, I wish I went there and got a T-shirt. I probably could have, bumped into Nipsey or something like that, But even though we've been in the same spaces, but yeah, man, it's just If I didn't have a reason to go, then like,
why put yourself in that situation when, you could be pressed.
Right.
Something could happen. Someone else is involved in something that could spill over into your, where you are. It just, there was a lot of energy that you didn't want. I was over there very young. I think I drove there to get my hair cut one time. And my idea was get in and get out. Yeah. Park the car, walk in, sit, wait for the barber, have him cut your hair. Hey, thanks, man. Peace, deuce. Here's a little tip or whatever, and get in the car and get out of there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like you. I mean, I grew up in mid-city, so there was no reason for me to do anything like where I needed to really hop out and like chill over there, you know?
Right.
Like, I mean, my grandmother lives over there, but like that corner in particular, like, you know,
Right.
what he was doing was really important, and I think it's definitely still an example. I mean, I definitely feel like him remaining in his neighborhood and, you know, doing his best to build it up is a blueprint, regardless of the potential sacrifice. I mean, we're all gonna die one day, but it was like, what are you doing while you're living, you know? And I think Nipsey is a testament to somebody who lived, you know, despite the risk and and he made this, you know, ultimate sacrifice. But hopefully, you know, we can learn from that and continue to build up and do beautiful things in our neighborhoods like he was.